And so once you get to fam, is this where you're talking about when you had a domestic?
Correct. Yeah. So he wasn't a student. He was actually a rapper.
Is he famous now? Do we know?
You probably know him.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
If you a hip hop head,
Okay.
you know who this is.
Okay.
But when I met him, his career was already on decline, right? And he was much older than me, like 8 years older than me. So I didn't even know who he was when I met him in the club. I didn't know. My homegirl did. Like, she was trying to holler. I was trying to hook them up, and he was like, "I don't want you. I don't want her. I want you." So. Yeah, so that's when that domestic violence situation happened. I had got arrested for possession, and then I was living in a domestic violence shelter. My attorney at the time, when I called her and let her know what was going on, because she was representing both of us, she was like, "Oh, I'm done with him. Don't give me no more money. I got you." Like, I did the drug court program, which was basically you just complete this year program. And I could have came back to Texas. A couple things I didn't was, one, they told me it was a 2-year program in Texas. So I was like, nah, I'll stay where it's one. And then I didn't want to give up on my dream of finishing college, right? Like, I went to Tallahassee for a reason. And I would feel like a failure if I left and I didn't have my degree when I left. So that's why I decided to stay. Dug it out, I ended up getting, I'm a researcher. Like, I gotta find out. I know some scholarships out here for women like me, right? So found a scholarship. Shout out to the Women's Independent Scholarship Program. They gave me like $3 or $4 grand a semester until I graduated after all that happened. So that was enough. That wasn't towards school. That was just for me to pay bills. And so that, helped me get back on my feet and get a place and all of that. So, and then I was using that story to help elevate other women, because a lot of people don't know, but 18 to 24 is actually the number one age group of young women that go through domestic violence. Yeah, especially I'm in college. I ain't got no family. None of my brothers out here. My daddy ain't out here.
Yeah.
My mama not out here. Nobody can really get to me, right?
Yeah.
So you on your own, you by yourself. That time frame is real big. So, and then I started speaking around campus and talking to different sororities and getting involved in organizations. And the domestic violence shelter that I was at, I ended up interning with a couple of years later. I'm real big on taking those type of situations and turning them around for good. I'm a believer of God, and in His Word, He says that He will turn those situations that were meant for bad into good. I'm living proof of that.
Mm-hmm. Can you, if you don't mind, I don't know if this may be a rough subject for you, but can you tell your story? What was the first time dude put his hands on you, or when you was like, talk us through that?
Yeah. No, we were actually almost like 2 years into the relationship before he actually physically put his hands on me. But if you really dive into domestic violence, it starts way before they put their hands on you. So it starts with mental, emotional, breaking you down, that type of abuse. And then it turns into physical. So the first time, it was like a mush, right? And I grew up in kind of that violence, that trauma, that's like normal, right? We grow up, especially Black and brown families, like we grow up thinking that that's normal. Like you get slapped up, you get, like that's normal.
And so for the people who don't know what a mush is, it's
it's a mush, right? So, I'm not thinking that a mush, my mama done mush me, that's not something that turns into anything really. So, from that, I swear it was literally like 2 weeks. So I wasn't in school. It was summertime and I wasn't in school. So that's why I feel like he was kind of able to do what he did, because I wasn't going out and about,
like maybe happened like in the summer or something?
It was the summer. It was right after school had got out in the spring. So it was summertime. I wasn't taking summer classes. And so from that bush, it like escalated literally in 2 weeks to him locking me in the house, like brutally beating me up, choking me till I passed out. I literally thought I was gonna die, cutting all my hair off, burning my hair.
He burned your hair?
Yeah, so he held me down on top of me, took hairspray, sprayed it all around my hair till it was like, my hair was matted like a dog, and then he took a lighter and started to light it, and then he choked me till, it escalated very, very quickly. And at that time, I knew I wanted to get out, right? And that was the biggest thing, and I want a lot of the women who are listening right now, like, everybody, it was one of the things I wanted to talk to people about. Why I would have did this or I would have did that. No, you don't know what you would have done at all in that situation. And when somebody has you so scared for your life and then they tell you, I know where your mama stay, I know where your daddy stay, I can get them knocked off, I can get, so it's like one of those things like, I want to leave, but how do I get out of this? The cops ain't going to help me. The neighbors downstairs, I know y'all hear me scream. Nobody called to cops. Nobody came. Nobody came to see about me. And it was so crazy because I just remember that last time we were driving I had lost my apartment. I felt like 6 months behind on my car. We were driving from Tallahassee to Albany, Georgia. It's like an hour and a half. That's where he was from. That's where his mom stayed. And I just remember that whole way up there, like screaming out to God in my head, like you gotta help me. I gotta get out of this. And he went to the store. He bought a pack of cigarettes just to burn me. At that point, he burned me with hot food. Like it was, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to act. You don't know because I'd never been in that situation before. So that ride up the whole way, mental, physical abuse. We get to his mother's house, pull up, maybe had less than a quarter tank of gas. By that time, I had already been arrested. He was smoking dirties. For people who don't know, that's putting, I don't know, that in Florida that's what they called it, but he would put coke in a blunt with weed, and that's what they call it. I don't know what they call it. Dirties. I don't know what they call it.
That shit at all.
But it was $2. It was $1 that had the weed, $1 that had the coke. At that point, I was already on my program, right, for being arrested for possession. So I'm not smoking nothing, or doing anything. I'm walking a straight line. And so he gets out the car. This time he takes my phone, but not the keys. And of course he's not going to bring me into his mama house looking crazy. He literally cut my hair off again at the time, 2 black eyes. He's not going to bring me inside his mama house because she know what kind of son she got, but he ain't going to just put it in her face like that, right? So he hands me the $2 bills with the drugs in it, goes inside. I look in the mirror and I'm like, this is not who I am. Like, this is my time right now. Like, what do I do, right? I'm sweating, I'm drenched, it was nothing but God that took control. I took the weed and the coke and each dollar, I dusted it off outside the window. I didn't know where the police station there was, and the fact that he was like, semi-famous, especially in his town. I didn't trust going to the cops. I didn't know. I didn't have a GPS back then to get me to where I was going, so I knew where the police station was at Tallahassee. So I drove off, and I stopped at the gas station. I put that $2 in the tank. I found a headscarf that I had in the trunk, wrapped my head up, and went straight to the police station in Tallahassee. And I remember when I was walking in, there was a young man named Jason. He used to date one of my homegirls.
When you walking in the police station?
Yeah, walking into the police station. This just shows you how real God is. Walking into the police station, I see him coming out. And he's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's up?" And then I'm like, "What you up here for?" And he's like, "Oh man, I got a stalker. ooh." And he's like, "What you coming here for?" And I just broke down. I took the scarf off my head and I just broke down and told him. He went in his pocket. He gave me every dollar he had in his pocket. And he was like, "I'm so sorry." He worked at T-Mobile at the time. He said, "Listen, when you get done doing what you're doing right now, come to T-Mobile. I'm gonna get your phone." So I told him I had a phone. I can't call nobody. I don't have nobody's number. So that was a blessing. I think he maybe gave me like $15, but back in 2009, that go a lot longer than it do now, right? But so I went into the police station. I made a report. They took pictures of me. They said, "Well, we can't press charges here because you weren't in this county when it happened." Right, so they did the report. They pushed it up. They said, "I'm gonna send it to somebody, an investigator in Albany." I said, "Well, I don't have nowhere to go. I don't have no family here. Like I don't know where to go." So they said, "Well, there's a domestic violence shelter here. It's called Refuge House. Go use the payphone right there. Call this number. See if they got beds for you." And I called, and they had a bed. I got out alive. Thankfully, I feel like if I would have stayed any bit longer, he would kill me. Even if it wasn't intentional, he would have killed me. There were times when he made me take off all my clothes, get in the tub, and point a gun at my head, tell me to kill me. Like it was that deep. So I knew that if I didn't get out at that time, that my life was in jeopardy.
God damn. How long was you with this guy?
2 years. So
within this 2 years, all of this happened?
No, this was in a few months. So from the time he put the mush to locking me in, that was 2 weeks. And then from the time I knew that I wanted to get out, it was probably 2 months. So it was like I got out probably in August. Like it was like in July. Then August, I was able to escape. I knew I had to get out. There was no this thing here. And the craziest thing is because he had my phone. So when I left, he was calling my father and telling my father that I ran away. I was a prostitute. I'm on drugs. Yeah. So by the time I finally got to talk to my people, they looked like, what? And I'm like, no, that's not what's going on here. This is what's going on right now. But I'm out. I'm free. I'm trying to get better and figure this out and move my life forward.
I just want to tell you, I know we're going to continue on, but I want to tell you, you don't look nothing like with everything that you're going through, all these stories. Like, it is truly like a blessing that you made it out, you know what I mean, out of all this stuff, because just looking at you, I wouldn't be able to tell any of this, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like blown away right now because I can't even imagine. But I'm sure there's other women that are going through something similar or the same as you went through. And so once you, goddamn.
I didn't mean to come in here and mess you up.
No, it's all good.
But
it's all good.
It make you realize when you see people, you never know their story.
Right.
And don't judge a book by its cover. Because I'm fly today, but y'all don't know what I've been through to get to this. You know, so yeah.
So once you are able to get a phone, go to the shelter, does he ever try to contact you, or do he ever try to get back in contact with you?
Absolutely. At that time, this was MySpace days. I'm probably 8 months over now. This is MySpace days. So he definitely was sending messages on MySpace and trying to get back.
What was he saying? Because I can't even imagine, like, what do you say after you put me through all this, nigga? What do you want? Like, I'm done.
You know, it's something wrong with people like that. They're narcissistic. They don't ever take responsibility. Like, it's very rare that a man who does that kind of abuse, which it continued to happen with other women after me, and it obviously happened prior to me, right? They don't take accountability, so they never get better at all. And so he'll say whatever he think he can say. I mean, I don't know. At that time, I just was like, dude, I'm bald headed. I got black eyes. I got scars that's probably gonna be here for the rest of my life. Like, what about that, right? So he's not acknowledging any of that. But I was safe at that shelter. He didn't know where I was. My biggest concern was that he knew where I went to school. He knew where my classes was. He knew where the building that my classes were in. And so that was my biggest concern, that he would show up. But he was broke. So it's hard to find a broke person. They ain't got nothing in their name, right? I'm trying to get a restraining order. I'm going to court. He not showing up. They can keep. I would have to go every single month to get, because it's just temporary. I got to go every month to court to get the next restraining order. That's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So after a couple months, I'm like, well, I got my apartment. I'm like, hopefully, I know he ain't got nobody to try to find where I'm at. Only thing was school. So, he still kept trying to reach out. I remember it probably was 2 years later, he had his new girlfriend saying, can I write a letter to the judge? Because that case that we had caught, he never went and dealt with it. I dealt with it. He never went and dealt with it. He wanted me to write a letter saying that, everything was mine. And I was so crazy.
Everything is yours. What do you mean?
The drugs.
Oh, boy, you'll get your ass out of here.
Right. So the police officer investigator, the detective, I don't know what they call him, but he reached out, the one from Albany. He read my police report and everything, saw the pictures. He knew who he was and said, oh no, we absolutely are pressing charges. So he ended up pressing charges, but they never could find him. So, a few years passed, and I was graduating. So I don't know whatever happened. Probably got dismissed because I never went back to, I don't know, but, it is what it is. He still probably, I think he went to prison again after that. I saw one of the girlfriends he had, he was biting her and doing all kind of crazy stuff. But the biggest thing for me was So media takeout, I don't know if they kind of popping anymore, but they like to shade them back in the day.
Yeah, they
right?
still
They still got some stuff. They probably a little bit more shadier now than they were back then. But I remember because he kept telling people that I did it to myself, right? She kind of don't care that she was crazy. She did, she that, she on drugs, she whatever. So I sent an email and I was like, yo, you care about this dude, about what he doing? And they're like, yeah. So I said, well, let me tell you a story. So I sent them all the pictures and did a write up and they put it out. It reached over like 500,000 people on the website. And some people were like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because what you're not gonna do is discredit my character when you crazy as hell, bro. Like, so I mean, at that point, it didn't really matter. No indenture wasn't dealing with him. He already lost his record label, and So, but for me, it felt good.
Yeah, the release.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, are you comfortable saying who he was? Or you
I mean, I can. I mean, no.
So here's my thing. I want to protect you, right? And I don't want any lingering thing or family or something. So, because when you leave here, you go by yourself. So I want to make sure I'm protecting you. If we don't have to say his name, you know what I mean? But I would rather people know who he is, so they'll be aware of it. Right. But at the same time, I am conscious of your safety.
No, my safety's not in jeopardy. Trust me, I carry the strap. So
okay. I don't even want you to have to use it though. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want that kind of.
Right. No, I mean, so a lot of young people are not gonna know who he is, but older people, my generation, older people than me. So I know anybody my age or older knows who feel about it, right? So it's Sean J. Yeah.
Okay.
The ugly one.
Okay.
The dark skinned one and then the ugly one. I was with the ugly one.
Okay. Thank you for tapping in with us. In order to see more clips like this, check out this video here or check out this one here.